So my Asics Novablast 4s have officially hit 250 plus miles. The question here is it time to retire this shoe? Let's get into it. So before we get into the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're subscribed to watch the content. Thanks so much. Love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Strava for all sorts of other updates and things like that. Without further ado, let's begin. Specs of the shoe somewhere here. And as we mostly know as runners, 250 miles is where product tends to see its most critical breaking points, and in most cases a lot of shoes begin to retire from your shoe lineup depending on a lot of factors. What kind of conditions are you running? Is it a race day shoe? Is it a daily trainer? How much do you weigh? What's your running form like? So all those factors are going to be considered when it comes to discussing the Asics Novablast 4 at this time with my current shoes conditions. So first thing we'll look at is the biggest culprit, or the most important piece, which is the outsoles of the shoes. What is it looking like right now? It looks a little something like this, and it may look familiar to what was going on in the 200 plus mile review, just with a little bit more crunch and wear across the product, which is expected, mind you. But as we'll look, I guess, in the left foot, this one's probably the most interesting one. Again, the foam that is exposed on the midfoot area of the shoe is badly chewed up, worn out. It's got some dents in certain areas, and yeah, it's not looking great. But that being said, the rubber that's protecting the rest of the foam seems to be in pretty good condition for the most part. Like, this is beginning to wear out on the interior side. It may get to a point where it starts wearing off entirely, and once this foam is exposed, I'm going to have a very serious concern for the shoe's overall lifespan. But at this time, it's still okay in terms of the reinforcement. But that's just one piece of the cake here that we need to look into, right? Again, the central piece of the foam, of the rubber protection, is still in good shape. The tip of the area is still good. We have a little bit of thickness still to work with. It's just this anterior side that is of high concern. And as I discussed with the Zoomfly 6 in a previous video, a lot of my workouts right now are inside just because it's like brutally cold outside with the wind and just the conditions out here in, you know, the northern Chicago suburbs. And that being said, treadmills are my accessibility point, so a lot of this dirt here is from treadmill dust and soot and things like that. So the wear could be worse, or it should be worse, but it's not, because we're protecting it in a weird way by using the treadmill. Same thing probably goes with the right foot. The wear is still sort of as is. It's not as crazy as the left foot. Even on the anterior side where the rubber and the foam sort of meet, it still has a little bit of thickness to work with, so I'm not too concerned with that at this time. So that moves on into our second factor, which is the foam stress overall. So what I'm specifically looking at is just the Fresh Foam Blast Plus compound that's running the duration of the shoe. Where is it wrinkled? Where are its stress points? Does it look like it's seen enough? And from what I see, if we were to cut this shoe in half, like right down the middle from the midfoot to the heel and the forefoot, you can see the forefoot is starting to get those creases across the entire foam. If we like give it different lighting so you can see some of the shadows that kind of go with it. A lot of it is kind of going on in this inner compound by the Fresh Foam Blast near the mid to forefoot area of the shoe, which I typically strike with. So this wear is normal, right? It's expected. Is it so bad that I think the shoe is causing issues? Not necessarily. There's another factor we'll have to consider when we go into this in my personal case, which we'll get into next. But that being said, the stress areas of the foam are not bad. It's just really funny that it's like you cut the shoe right in half and everything is on the forefoot side of the shoe and the heel remains as is, whether it's just because the heel compound is so thick or I just don't use the heel compound and that's just kind of the result of such a wear of this particular shoe, right? And the same thing can be said again with the left foot. You cut it in half like right about there-ish, and all the wear is in the forefoot area of the shoe. So with the foam stressing and creasing where it is, the third factor to consider is how do I personally feel with the ride of the shoe? Do I feel like my shins, ankles, or my tibia area sort of experience any sort of stress with the shoe? And the answer is no. So I'm experiencing a little bit more stress with the Zoomfly 6 than I am with the Novablast 4s, which is crazy considering I've had this shoe for way longer, have more miles on it, and this is just how I'm feeling with it. And it's also worth noting the lack of carbon plate in this shoe is a big piece to consider with this particular conundrum, but that's okay. This is supposed to be an everyday training shoe with no sort of I don't want to say no speed workouts involved with it, but you should save that for something more with a carbon plate, in my opinion, if you have the option available to you. Now, if this is your everyday, all-around type of shoe, different story, right? So, all of that being said, well, we also have one more thing we can show with the foam. I do have a little bit of foam chipping that's going on here on the inside of the left foot, which could be as a result of the shoes clipping. This could be as a result of hitting maybe a curb on when I'm running outside and just chipping it that way. So there is a little bit of foam, I guess, chafing, you can say, but it's not bad. It's not really impacting the performance, just something I noticed. I guess before we get into some other thoughts, other things to consider is that the stitching between the upper and the foam is still in good shape. It looks a little bit dirty and it looks like it's trying to rip, but it's not really ripping. It's in good shape. That's something also worth considering. We don't have any sort of wears on the toe box area at this time. I don't have any major wear in the heel that would start causing any blistering or anything of that sort. So I think overall, the Asics Novablast 4 is still in pretty good shape for me now, right? So that being said, right now with my training plan of pushing more than 50 miles a week without actually training for a race officially, and just my weight of about 150 something, no, I'm not 150, hold on. I think I'm about 145, 144 pounds right now, 5'8", 5'9", something around there. I can continue running in this shoe, in my opinion. Just there's enough evidence from how I'm feeling after the shoe, how I'm feeling during my runs with this shoe, that I think I can still kick this shoe a little bit more, right? I know where my personal limits are with particular shoes that I've run with in the past, like the Hoka Mach 4, Mach 5, where after certain runs, like my tibias would just feel extremely beaten, worn down, and I'd be like, what the heck is going on? And that was like one of those moments where the foam wore out so bad on the EVA compound that it got into, I think it was the ProFly Plus. Is that the Hoka foam? I believe that's what it was. And once you're riding on the softer compound of foam, you don't have as much protection, and then that's where your issues start, right? In this case, with our one compound, it's still in good shape. We still have reinforcement protecting the fresh foam blast compound, and the wears of the shoe are not nearly as bad in the most crucial places at this time. So right now, this is still one of the better daily trainers I've used probably in my lifetime, and I'm willing to say that confidently, just with the way the shoe's engineered, the way I feel in it, the comfort level of the shoe. Like, you guys are not kidding. This is a truly amazing shoe, and I know that you guys are even more wowed with the predecessor models that were released, I think, in 22 and 23, with the Novablast 2 and 3, I think they were. So all of that being said, like, I don't know what else to say. The shoe is just in great shape at 250 plus miles for me. So again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a, orthopedist or anything of that sort. So you should be the own judge of yourself. If you weigh more than I do, if you're taller than I am, if you have the same amount of miles and you feel different in the shoe, what you should do differently compared to me, like whether you should retire yours at 250 plus, or if you weigh less than me and the shoe looks better than this, use your judgment, right? But I'm just telling you from my human bodily specs where I'm standing with the Novablast 4 that the show must go on, it will go on, and we're going to try to take this thing to 300 plus miles, and we'll touch base then. So if you agree or disagree with the assessment, let me know in the comments below. But for now, I think we'll leave it at this. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.